Welcome to Accelerate My Practice. So glad you could join us here today. Today I'm going to be doing an interview with the company and the co-founder of My Smile Advantage, a company that maybe you haven't heard of yet. Yet is the key word. They're doing some amazing things. So I wanted to bring them in and share their story, what they're doing with everyone here, so you guys could be a part of it, learn about it, and maybe it's something that would be appropriate for you. So that being said, I want to introduce Jeff Sindelar, who's a dentist, so doctor. He's one of the co-founders and partners of the company, and then Katie Franklin, who's the program manager. I think that means she's the brains behind the operation, the day-to-day operations, if you will. And so I want to take some time to interview both of them and ask them about what the whole My Smile Advantage is, what the program is, what the idea is, where it came from. So with that being said, I want to first thank you both for joining me today. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come here and say hi to the whole Accelerate My Practice family.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So tell us, how did this all come about? What's the origin of it? How did the idea first become birthed?
Well, the idea came about with a few partners, a few colleagues of mine. We found that there was a need from our patient base. We had patients coming in all the time that were saying, we're frustrated with dental insurance. We don't know what to necessarily buy. What do you suggest? We didn't have an answer for them. We said that most of the stuff available to you is high priced. You're better off just buying something through our practice, or better yet, just paying our fees. Well, we found that patients weren't necessarily happy with that. To just tell them that the only option they had was to pay our fee, like it or not. So, we did some investigation. We found that there was in-office membership plans out there. We started to dive into that and find out, what should we do with our plan. As we developed it, we found that there was certainly a need in our practices, and we started talking with other colleagues, and they had a need for something like this. So we designed marketing material around it, a really well-developed website, an SEO program, and since then we've been promoting it with our patients individually and among other dentists, and we're growing in numbers. Specialists are now on board where we can extend in-office membership outside of our practices, and specialists can extend a discount to our patients as well.
It's awesome to see how ideas are born out of necessity. And one of the things that's interesting to me hearing your story is, as I'm sure you guys know, on the nationwide level, there's becoming this dental therapist title, where mid-level providers, or whatever term you want to use. And a lot of this is born out of the thought that there's an access to care problem. And what's interesting to me is there's not generally an access to care problem. There's an access to want to spend the money problem. And what I see as an advantage out of this is it appears as though this is an issue you guys are solving, because if you have patients who think that they can't do dentistry, they can't get dentistry because they don't have dental insurance, it creates this perceptual issue. And that's where I see a huge advantage, is that you guys are solving this perceived access to care problem for the patients through bringing affordable dentistry back in. If you don't have insurance, don't have access to insurance, now all of a sudden you do. And of course, we should probably do the disclaimer of the legality of the term insurance, so everybody's very clear on that.
Absolutely. This is a membership plan. We go state by state as we've gone into additional states, and we find that as long as we have, it's a contract between doctor and patient. As long as we keep it that way, this is not insurance. We're just extending a discount to our patients that choose to come to our practices and be part of this membership plan.
We actually like to say that it's a trusted alternative to dental insurance. That's usually how we promote it.
I like that wording. It's great to hear, because a lot of times the offices want to understand it, and I don't have a problem explaining it to them. I just think they need to have an abundance of clarity that they should not use that term dental insurance or insurance of any sort, because insurance regulatory companies are going to be coming after them if they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Darren, to go back to the bridging that gap, or that access to care problem, I think there's also this misperception that dentists need to have insurance in order to survive in their practices. We're learning that dentists don't even understand the amount of write-off that they're giving to their patients when they sign up for these insurance plans, with averages of 40% discounts. If you say, as a dentist, they come to us and they say, we don't spend money on marketing. Well, yes, you do. When you did, let's say, a $1,000 crown at 8 a.m. Monday morning, and if you do that for $600, you just spent $400 on marketing. So don't be confused. There's a huge patient base out there that they're just leading their way down to water because the insurance companies are making them feel that they need insurance to go to the dentist. That's not true. And we don't need insurance to care for patients. We do need to find a way to encourage patients to come to our practice. And if you look at the models that are out there, membership buying plans, Dollar Shave Clubs, Amazon Prime, everything is membership based. That's how we think as a society. So why not follow that line as dentists? Yeah, we're healthcare providers. And this membership plan focuses on prevention. So we're going to be able to deliver that innate need that we have to give to our patients of prevention. But do it in a way that's 2016. Do it in a membership kind of model. That's our suggestion.
You know what I like about it, and we discuss it here fairly often, is when you look at the numbers, and my data's a few years old because I haven't been able to find more current data, but the data I saw, probably a year and a half, 2 years old, is that 42% of patients have no dental insurance, 48% have some sort of insurance, 8% are some sort of government-funded type insurance, or other, as they call it. And the challenge is that everybody seems to be in a race for this 48% that have dental insurance. And what's interesting is reimbursement rates in the last 10 years for that 48% have just gone down the tubes. So you're getting worse and worse reimbursement, and yet we're all going to fight over the 48%. What makes no sense to me is the fact we're not pursuing the 42% of the population that doesn't have insurance and probably is not an active participant in the system. You know, the ADA says roughly 50% of Americans haven't seen the dentist in the last 2 years. So why in the world would we fight over the 50% that are active and the other ones who aren't because of this perceived access to care issue? And so what I really like about what you guys are bringing to the table is you're trying to get the half of America that's not an active participant back into the system to create health, to improve health, and to make it more and more affordable. And I think it's a brilliant, brilliant plan.
Yeah, and so that is where we're focusing a lot of energy. However, we are focusing energy on going after those employees and those insured that are losing insurance or that are frustrated with the rising premiums that are out there. We're working with companies, some direct reimbursement companies, and discussions with them and how we can come together and offer this solution to employers that want to provide a benefit but are finding that it's cost prohibitive. So this kind of marriage where we can provide a discount and let somebody else come in and provide a benefit, if we come together as dentists and if we think about working collectively in this kind of way, we're going to be able to not only go after that 50% of the market that need a dentist, that need to go, but also that percentage within the 50% that do have insurance that are losing it or that are frustrated with what they have.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there are participants who do have insurance. For all we know, depending on their plan, your product might or service might be a better solution to their issues than what they currently have through employee-sponsored. You know, I know myself when I was an employee some time ago, at one point I'm a math guy, I'm a numbers guy, so I start looking at the numbers and I realize that I'm actually paying more for my health insurance than I'm getting benefit from. And so it had me starting to look for a catastrophic plan, which I had for a long time, which was very, very affordable. I never go see the doctor. I go to see, I have a thyroid issue, so I have to go at least once a year, do a physical, get a blood draw, and then maybe once in the middle for antibiotic. And so twice a year I see a medical provider. So why have this huge benefit that I can walk in any time that I'm not getting benefit from? And the actuaries in the insurance business understand that people like me are awesome. I fund it for all the people who aren't healthy. So I got out of the system and went to a catastrophic plan, and it was far more economical and useful to me. And granted, every time I went, I had to pay, but no big deal. I had a $5,000 deductible. And it worked fabulous for my family and my circumstance. And I realize for other families and other circumstances, it may or may not. And I think the challenge becomes, can we as professionals have an educated conversation with our patients, understanding the math, understanding the scenarios, and not afraid to say, hey, this might even be better than your employer-sponsored thing. I don't know until you tell me what your premiums are, but it's a simple mathematical computation at that point.
Absolutely. And I think as a group of dentists, we need to just understand and put it on the table, make sure we understand that as well. That goes back to that comment about how we're chasing the insurance and feel we need to be part of it. The catastrophic, you mentioned, I went to a catastrophic medical plan as well. That's what I have. But there's nothing catastrophic about dentistry. Nothing. It's predetermined. You need cleanings and occasionally you're going to need some work. And if it's catastrophic, you can either go with a $30,000 plan or we can make you a denture that might cost somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000. So there's nothing catastrophic about any of this. The membership plans, if we acknowledge that, if we can educate ourselves and educate our patient base, they'll understand that what they're buying with a membership plan is the preventative package. And the discounts that you create are for the catastrophes, the news of a filling, or the news of a crown. And then you get the discount off of that. But until you have it, you never have to utilize that discount. And you never paid premiums for that potential that go unused and left on the table year after year.
So talk to us about the secondary benefits of being a Smile Advantage dentist. I mean, obviously it's great to have this in the office for the patients, whether new or existing patients, but there's far more benefit that you've built into this for the doctors. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about that, and I'll make sure that Katie follows up and make sure that I don't miss anything. But we've had great conversations with major companies that you know very well in the industry. Companies like Patterson Dental, 3M, Crest Oral-B, among many others. They're coming to the table and they are very supportive of this idea. To date, they've helped us with a lot of continued education by sponsoring those for our Smile Advantage members. We've been able to get them to provide promotions and discounts that are internal among all of us dentists. So if you're part of the membership, you can have some benefit from these companies. They're also supporting us by promoting this concept. They're talking about it on the streets because they believe in the private practice dentist. They believe that we have a need that's out there and they want to see us succeed, all of us succeed. So we've been able to have those kind of benefits. The direct reimbursement, I talk about that. Just talking with other people within our industry that can speak to employers. We can't do it alone as a group. We can't buy enough billboards, enough radio spots. We need to have other people promoting this. And the direct reimbursement companies, those third-party administrators, are coming to the table to support us as well. We have, am I forgetting anything there, Katie?
I would just say that monthly, as we check in with all of the dentists that are offering Smile Advantage, some of the biggest things that we hear as far as how they're measuring success is in terms of patient retention, increased treatment acceptance, patient conversion, like we talked about earlier, converting those insurance-dependent patients over to their in-office membership plan. Also, there's a reactivation campaign that's been huge for dentists as well, in, being able to entice patients that they've lost over the years to come back to their practice because they have an in-office membership plan in place. So those are some big areas that dentists are reporting to us as far as how they're seeing success from these plans.
Darren, when she talks about those patients that you convert, I find I had a grade school teacher of mine that left because she received an insurance plan that allowed her to get her cleaning somewhere else. She had been a patient in the practice for 30 years. She was my grade school teacher, but she said it was nothing against me, but that's what her insurance allowed her to do. When we convert these patients and we retain them and reactivate them and bring them back in our patients, we have another opportunity to create a lifelong relationship. This allows us to do this. When they have insurance, these insurance companies are sending EOBs to these patients that give them a list of other dentists that they could go see to get a greater discount or that might be in the network. There's so many variables around us that are the people that are trying to tug at those relationships that we've worked so hard to form. This is another opportunity there for us to do that. The other added value or benefit to this is how we're coming together with website. We know that SEO and Google searches are king, and we're building that architecture within our website. And as we have members that come in, we're building on their individual pages. We're finding that when we do Google search on some of our members that might not have a highly functional website, and they may not even know it, we're seeing that their landing page for Smile Advantage is ranking on the first page for some of the procedures they do. And I know when I ask my patients how they heard about us, many of them say Google. We don't necessarily know what about Google, but they say Google. They did an internet search. What we're able to do with Smile Advantage, because we're collectively doing this and building the architecture behind the scenes of the main website, every individual office is benefiting through search engine optimization, and their individual pages, their individual office in their local zip code searches are ranking higher often than their own website.
You know, that doesn't surprise me, and man, you just said such a mouthful, it's insane. I'm really glad to hear all the benefit of the marketing content for the offices, because sadly, one of the misnomers I run into all the time with doctors is that they think all they need are new patients, new patients, new patients. And it's a Band-Aid to another problem that they're really truly not solving. But with your system, you are helping to solve that new patient flow concern that they've got. And the other issue that you addressed, which is really the problem that I see most of these doctors running into, is loyalty. You know, they're struggling to retain their patients. I was having a conversation with a doctor who had been in practice about 20 years, and he was like, you know, I just need new patients, new patients, new patients. And I looked at him and said, all due respect, sir, if you had kept all your patients from the beginning of time, would you need any new patients? And he kind of got this huffy look on his face, like, whoa, you know, tough guy sort of thing, like I'm those fighting words or something. And it was interesting because the reality was that no is the answer. You know, if you can improve your systems, and when I say systems, I just mean simply the patient experience, having a more positive experience, having less reasons to want to leave your practice, your loyalty numbers, your retention rate stays higher. And the cost of acquisition is so much higher than the cost of retention, it's insane. So having another arrow in the quiver of being able to retain a patient through something called Smile Advantage, called, you know, affordable care or access to care through, you know, a membership plan, I think is a brilliant strategy, and it's just one more method with which we can use to do this. It's not the solution, because if we have a dysfunction in terms of what our patients feel like is we're mean to them or we're crabby, you know, that won't solve that issue. But it helps. And then lastly, what was interesting to me that you said was this whole David and Goliath thing. You know, we talk all the time, or we have these concerns about corporate dentistry coming in, or huge competition. And maybe it's not corporate dentistry, but maybe it's in fact the insurance companies who are literally trying to erode, as you said, the loyalty of your patients through, hey, here's an EOB, man, your doctor stinks because his fees are outrageous. Here's 10 others that you can go to instead. You know, having them erode that loyalty and thinking foolishly, the patient foolishly thinking that the insurance company has the patient's best interest in mind is absolutely ridiculous. So I love the concept you're talking about of increase of coming together as a profession, you know, kind of a David and Goliath sort of thing, where we're fighting not only the corporate dental groups, but then we're also fighting the big insurance, which is not out there to do the patient any good at all, is a brilliant piece of this strategy and plan.
Yeah, and if it's David and Goliath, if we're using that terminology, the David is coming together, dentists collectively working together, and that's where Smile Advantage, our goal, my partners, Katie and myself, our goal when we sit and we brainstorm, it's always about how we can do something together and working for you to promote this concept and to promote all of us and our individual practices. That's what we're doing.
From a high-level perspective, is there anything else we need to share with our listeners who might still have questions? Because believe it or not, this is the fastest 20, 25 minutes of your life, I promise. Are there any additional thoughts that we need to share so people understand what it is you guys are doing?
Well, I would encourage you to come and look at our website, play around on it, and see what we're promoting not only to the patient, the consumers, but the business owners, and then there's a tab that's for doctors. And you can start to dive into there, and there's an opportunity to even listen to webinars that we've had over time, so that way you can look at that and dive into a little bit more of the specifics. I'm always a phone call away. Katie's a phone call away. We're working together. So I want you to understand how this can benefit your practice. And if you give us the time to hear us out, look at the website, you'll find that this really can be a phenomenal piece of your practice. I have 361 patients as of yesterday that are Smile Advantage member patients. That's 12% of my patient base. Those are loyal patients, and that number is climbing at least by 10 to 15 members per month.
Wow, that's a profound statement in my mind to hear that 12% of your practice is now a Smile Advantage patient. And the benefit of that, again, is you don't have a big insurance company trying to erode your loyalty, drive them somewhere else. Just huge, huge benefits. I think it's amazing product and service that you guys have put together, and I'm very thankful that you were willing to spend the time with us to allow us to help get this message out, because I certainly see no downside in terms of what it is you guys are offering. You know, the costs involved are relatively small given the huge benefit that comes back in return. And I struggle to see where there's a downside for somebody to be a Smile Advantage dentist. And you know, it's great to see how quickly you guys are growing, how many states you are in, and where this is going from here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Darren, spreading the word with us.
Well, I again appreciate the time. We've had your contact information scrolling across the bottom throughout the entire time here, so people will have, Katie, the ability to get in touch with you, and then Dr. you as well if they have questions, and obviously you guys will handle that. So I very much appreciate everybody taking the time to hear about the Smile Advantage program and the benefits of it. I definitely encourage you to learn about it. See if it's right for your practice. You know, I guess it's entirely possible that maybe it's not right for your practice. I find it a little hard to believe that it might not be, but everyone's got their own thing, and that's totally cool. But I would take a little bit of time to understand it and understand how badly maybe some of the insurance companies are eating at your lunch. You know, we shot a show a few weeks ago on how to get off of PPOs or how to get out of Medicaid. You know, I would think that if you did see that, I would go back and watch that show and then watch this one again and combine those two thoughts together, because I think having the information of both, this becomes one of those tools of how do you get out of PPO dentistry. So if that is a desire of yours, I would definitely take the time to learn more about Smile Advantage. With that being said, I thank you so much for spending the time with us. I can't wait to see you again, 8 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Until then, have a wonderful week. What if you could have the practice of your dreams? What's holding you back? Imagine a life where you have everything you ever wanted.